everyone, and welcome to Surviving ISO. I'm Sacha King from 2.two.one Mental Health Charity, and today we're going to be talking about some ways to give your mind a bit of a break through this stressful time and some techniques around mindfulness. We're really lucky to be joined today by Katie Crane. She's a mindfulness and movement teacher and trainer, and also a Pilates trainer. She is the owner of Encore Pilates and Wellness Centre. And so we're really lucky to have you today. Thanks for joining us, Katie. So can you let us know a little bit about yourself and your work and how you got interested in mindfulness?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a movement educator, primarily using Pilates as a modality to help people recover from injury, manage chronic pain and live with disease. Personally, I found Pilates living with chronic pain and anxiety myself, and I found it about 15 years ago. And having been in the Western medical system as a chronic pain sufferer since my early teens, none of the allopathic modalities of medicine worked for me. So I guess I started searching for an alternative, and I found Pilates. So when I found it, it was like a secret that nobody had told me about, and it absolutely changed my life. And pretty quickly, having such a positive experience with it myself, I just knew that it was something that I needed to share with the world. So now I work primarily with people with PTSD, anxiety and chronic pain, and I really use movement as a way to heal and to overcome emotional and mental issues associated with pain.
Yeah, and I guess, can you explain a little bit more about how that works and how that movement helps us with these mental health problems and some of these processing problems that people might be having?
Yeah, sure. Well, we know now that pain is in the brain, that quite often, especially if you've been experiencing pain for a long time, it isn't necessarily directly associated with the injury that you had a long time ago, but that experience of pain can live in your body for a long, long time. So Pilates, because it's such a mindful way of moving, in that you move with great intention, and it really brings you back into your body. So what happens is we start to create positive movement in your body, and then you associate those positive movements with a positive experience, and then you stop feeling the pain. So it's difficult for us to fully understand still. Science is really still getting its head around what is going on. And a couple of years ago, I was in Dundee in Scotland, and I was working with an anatomist there, and he was talking, that science is just starting to catch up with what we are seeing as movement practitioners every day anyway. So what we know is that by creating a safe space and by showing empathy to people who are experiencing pain or anxiety, and just starting to do some really simple movements in the body, then just by being in that safe structure, people start to feel pain less and less, and then the negative cycle that they're in of feeling pain or being highly anxious or having that experience of PTSD starts to be I guess replaced by this positive experience, and then the positive experience starts to overcome their pain.
Yeah. Wow, it's so interesting, because as myself being a counsellor and I'm teaching a lot of people about anxiety symptoms and how they sit in the body, we are teaching that it's a whole body experience, having worries or having fears or having extra thoughts in your mind. It's not just something that you have just in your thoughts. So what are some people, if people are having a lot of worries and stress and feeling that a lot right now, is there some things they could do every day to try and counter that through mindfulness and movement?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like at the moment, the one thing that we have on our side is time. A lot of us are at home and we're not and we're not taken up with our everyday. So one of the first things that I've been encouraging our clients to do, because a lot of our clients, they can't come into the studio at the moment, and we are starting to see, we've been kind of shut down for about 2 weeks, so a lot of people are at home instead of being at the studio, and they're starting to experience pain. A lot of people are experiencing anxiety at the moment. So something that I think is very, very important is either meditation. And, a lot of people I know struggle with understanding how to meditate or the concept of meditation. So there's plenty of apps out there, but also sitting down and taking time to feel gratitude for what it is that you have. So something that we are encouraging our clients to do at the moment is every morning is to write down 10 things that you're grateful for. And there's an understanding, there's a guy, Joe Dispenza, he's very well known in the meditation field, and he says, to feel gratitude for something means that you already have it in your life. So for example, if you want to have a good relationship with your mother or your daughter or your husband, you first need to be grateful for that relationship, and you need to feel gratitude for that relationship, and then that relationship will improve, So it's one thing to say, write down an affirmation, an affirmation might be, I am happy. And you could write that down until the cows come home. But if you don't believe that you are happy, if you don't feel that happiness, then nothing is ever going to change for you. So if you write down what you are grateful for and you sit with that gratitude for a moment, you feel that happiness, or you feel that the goodness in that relationship, then things will start to shift for you. So I think at the moment, it's so important that we are sitting in that feeling of gratitude to make those changes happen, because everybody is very stressed right now. We're all feeling the anxiety, and we have a choice right now how we're going to allow that to play out in our life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when we're all worried, we do quite often think of the negatives, or what is all the bad things going on, and rather than reflecting on those things we do have. So it's a really great thing for people to simply do in the morning as well. Just sit down and take a few minutes.
Absolutely. If we have anything right now, we have time.
Yeah. But I think it's also a time when people are saying, I don't have time, or making excuses for things, or saying, I'm just feeling really stressed with, maybe a lot of people in my household, or all these things going on, and I feel really busy, but I don't know how to make time for this. Do you have any sort of strategies for people to create some time for this, or to do mindfulness?
If you have time to worry, and if you have time to feel stressed, to feel anxiety, then you also have time to practice mindfulness. So it comes down to the choice that you make, so the state of your mind is your choice. Feeling anxiety and stress takes the same amount of time and energy as feeling calm and whole. So it's really about where you choose to direct that energy. At the moment, there are many outside influences that will try and take over your mind, but ultimately it's your choice whether or not you want to take part, or whether you want to disassociate yourself. So, for example, every time you turn on the television, every time you look at social media, or read a newspaper, or listen to the radio, or even every time you talk to another person, these are all potential mind-altering experiences. So you have a choice of which ones you're going to do of these, So it's very, very easy right now to sit and scroll through social media, and before you know it, you've done that for an hour. So my mum once said to me when I was a teenager, and I was very, very fortunate to grow up in a family that always practiced mindfulness. And my mum used to say to me, you will become the books you read, the people you associate with, and the television shows you watch. Now, nowadays, that has been also added in to include anything on the screen you watch, So as a teenager, I didn't like what she told me, and I wanted to watch the trashy TV shows because all my friends were watching them, and that's what was being talked about at school. But in hindsight, my mum was setting me up to be mindful. So I see every time something is on the news, it does mess with your mind. My eyes are open to it. And so I know to turn it off, but I also know that a lot of people right now are hanging on every word and their fear response is taking over. So you need to ask yourself, do I need to keep reading this? Do I need to keep watching this? And do I need to keep listening to this because it's what I need to know? Or am I becoming addicted to that fear response? You do become addicted to wanting to feel the fear and anxiety. So you have a choice in any moment to practice fear or gratitude, hate or love, or anger or compassion.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point right now, when it feels like almost like it's okay to look at the news all the time, because people are sort of getting a little bit caught up on their looking at social media and the news and finding it a little bit hard to start doing any mindful tasks. What might be a good thing for them to start with?
Well, like I said, definitely, writing down when you wake up some things that you're grateful for, and then actually taking a moment to feel the emotion of what that gratitude gives you. So, like I said, mindfulness is more than just affirmations. You need to sit with it and you need to feel it for your body to really start to respond to it. And also just finding some things at home that you enjoy doing. And it can be the most simple thing. If you enjoy cooking, then cook. If you enjoy sitting and looking at the butterflies, sit and look at the butterflies. But I think at the moment, what we need to do is really schedule our day. I noticed personally when I first started being home with my son, we didn't have a schedule. And before I know it, we had binge watched some Netflix, for 4 hours. So now we have a schedule every day and we follow that schedule. And it's so important right now to make those positive changes, because before you know it, you can be in a black hole, or you can really utilize this time now to learn and to grow and to expand. And if you've got children in the house, then we need to be, we really need to be showing children and living the example of what we want them to experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like you said, you're showing a young person how to show gratitude and feel gratitude and, take the option of the positive and all those things. So just like I guess you're saying your mum teaching you, we should be teaching, all the people around us to take the choices of the more positive or mindful options.
Oh, absolutely. Right now we do have a choice, and now can be an opportunity. Napoleon Hill once said, opportunity is often disguised as misfortune or defeat. So, we've had many things stripped away from us right now. One thing we have is time, and we need to use this time to practice mindfulness. So if you do that and I do that, the next person does that in your house and your neighbor does that, and so on, then we can make a huge difference to the planet right now. The choices that you make affect everyone that you live with, but also everyone in your community. So whether you want to accept it or not, you are connected to every single human being in this world, and your choices, your actions, and your state of mind is a direct reflection of the experience that you are having right now. It's as simple as that, So, of course, we are wired to survive. We are wired to respond to the external stresses. But, we really, really need to recognize that whatever actions we are taking on right now will also have a ripple effect of our whole community.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and that sort of responsibility of a community member to let someone else know about this. I'm really interested to know how you use mindfulness and movement just in your everyday. It might be helpful for people to understand that.
Yeah, sure. I'm a mover, I'm not very good at sitting still, and for me, specifically Pilates, it really brings me back into my body. So I don't need to practice for a long time, but I need to be very consistent with my practice. So, I know that yoga also has the same benefits. So really it's just about taking time to sit with your body, to recognize any niggles that you might have in your body and bring awareness to them, and then allow for your body to move in a way that brings joy to you and that feels good. So I don't understand that whole no pain, no gain kind of thinking. I don't believe that that's how our body is meant to respond to anything. I really feel great benefit when something feels good in my body, and then it gives me a sensation in my mind or my emotions that then starts to become, I guess, a positive cycle. So, it may be something as simple as walking at the beach. Now, we're super lucky up here in Darwin that we can still walk at the beach, so just taking time out to move your body and to be doing something that feels good is very, very important for your health. So in our household, we get up every morning and we go to the beach no matter what. And, something as simple as watching our dogs frolic on the beach is bringing joy to our hearts, which then has a knock-off effect on our whole system.
Yeah, so we're probably all having moments like this in our day that are bringing us joy, but we're not really acknowledging them or feeling them.
Yeah, I think it's that whole that we are wired, it's our fight or flight response, right? And even before us all being at home and stuff like that, we are wired to respond to the fight or flight, in that we live in a very overstimulated environment. Even when you're late for work, you've left your keys at home, you're at the traffic lights or whatever, all of that oversensitized stimulation. But now we're also being pushed down, we're also being kind of backed into a corner, and it's difficult not to want to fight against that because we're so uncertain at the moment. But doing small things every day can really just help ease that stress. And you have to do that with intention. It's not just going to happen because of the situation that we're in. So every day, I think everybody needs to take many, many moments, many times throughout the day, just to sit with gratitude, feel compassion, feel love, feel joy in the smallest ways.
I love that sense of giving yourself permission to have time to feel this, and just saying this is a part of my daily practice now, or a part of my routine now, is that I do these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got one last question for you, and that question is, what would be your takeaway message for people wanting to start to do some more mindfulness or some movements or practicing some gratitudes? What's your sort of takeaway message for people?
At the moment, there are some fantastic options online, and most of us have access to that. I think that a lot of us need a little bit of guidance when we first get started. And, you can look up apps online, little meditation apps. My son meditates every morning and it's only for 10 minutes. So there are apps that have meditation for children, meditation for adults. And at the moment, I think because we do all have this time, it's a wonderful time to read books. I've just finished reading the Book of Joy, which is a story about Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And it's reading things like that really bring us back into what is our purpose and what is our connection that we have with each other right now. That there are a lot of positives that are happening in the world. Think of all the positive things that are happening to the environment and bringing families back together, and having the space in your day to be able to put into your own mental health, that if you can recognize that, then I think now is a wonderful, wonderful time for us just to spend those small moments with each other and start to practice what is possibly been let go because of the materialistic nature of the world that we live in. All of that materialism right now ultimately doesn't matter, does it? So we can get back to the simplicity of living.
Yeah, I think that's such an important takeaway message to say, that we actually have an opportunity to just be with people and with ourselves. And yes, we have a choice to what we do in our days at the moment, and we have time for it. So thank you so much, Katie Crane, who's our mindfulness and movement teacher. Please look after yourselves, and thank you for improving your wellness.